Protect yourself and your family from unexpected challenges. Consider accident-only income protection. Click the link in the description to find out more.
You want anything bad enough? Don't make excuses. You gotta lose your time and your sleep for it. You find a way.
Boxing King Media in association with SaveMoreMoney.com and the Riyadh season. We're here at the lovely Fairmont Hotel with me, promoter Eddie Hearn. Eddie, you do love the sun, don't you?
I do. Well, like, I think, obviously, you know what it's like in the UK, just so depressing this time of year. And now we're out here with a wonderful weather in Saudi Arabia. I feel like we should be doing this interview in the sun. So I'm using this 10 minutes or however long it's going to be to just top up the tan and try and hide the tiredness that the last 6 months, particularly the last probably 3 months, have incurred on myself and my body. But it's okay because the excitement of Saturday is keeping me focused and energised, and I can't wait. Every day draws closer. I actually felt like it was Friday today. I was a bit disappointed when I woke up. I thought tomorrow night, 2 days to go, big show Saturday.
Eddie, you've been here a few times before. We talk about the show itself. Just back home, sometimes Western media portrays certain countries in certain ways. Just kind of your reaction and experiences from Saudi Arabia. Obviously allies of the UK as well, but how much do you enjoy being here, the culture, the environment?
You know, this is our 3rd show in Saudi Arabia. We've always had a lot of criticism for staging shows here. This time, not so, because the whole sporting world has almost found itself as Saudi is a big destination for them. And I think that a lot of people criticise without ever experiencing it. And every time we come, we see participation growing, particularly at grassroots level. We see huge development. We see huge change. And it feels like, you know, Riyadh, which is the home of Joshua Ruiz in 2019, has changed so much. Coming here now, you know, and I know that we're in a hotel at the moment, but there's restaurants everywhere, you know, there's entertainment. I mean, people are enjoying themselves. It's like I said, the development, just not just through the sport and through what's happening on the ground here in grassroots boxing, but as a place. For me, from a visitor, I see incredible change here. And if sport is going to be the reason for that change, then great. You know, so yeah, always enjoyed my experiences in Saudi Arabia, and the evolvement just continues.
Managed to pick up any of the vocab here, the local vocab, Ed?
No, you know, I'm always learning, always learning. But the people have been very hospitable. They always have been since we came. They're excited. You know, they're excited to see major events, major acts, major tournaments come into this country. And sometimes you know, boxing. A lot of people say, oh, is it a bad thing for boxing that you're taking big fights from the UK or from Las Vegas? You know, there's this thing, it's called the world. And what do you think? That boxing should only exist in Las Vegas or in London? Like, the impact that the Middle East could have on the sport will bring a new level to the ecosystem. So actually, it's a great thing for the sport. And it fires up and incentivises other countries and other potential sites to host boxing, because the profile that these fights are giving boxing, and not just the fights but the promotion and the content and the promos, it's grabbing people's attention, which, you know, makes people realise how big the sport can be.
I saw some pictures of yourself with Auntie Joshua, smiling, looked happy. Just how's he been over the last kind of 24 hours since the workout, and also just touching on his workout, something different, bringing some of the youth from Saudi Arabia and allowing them to showcase themselves in front of the cameras?
Yeah, firstly, super chilled, like really happy. Camp's gone amazingly well, you know, much better than previous camps, I think it's fair to say. I think he's in a different kind of mindset than he's been in the last few fights. So he's very happy and excited to perform. In terms of the workout, I think that if you're not really going to work out, you need to do something a little bit different. And obviously to get some young fighters from Saudi Arabia in the ring on that kind of stage is just life-changing for them, you know, and it's nice for him to do that because he's just not going to go in there and hit pads for 15 minutes. Just not going to do it. So, you know, sometimes you've got to switch it up a little bit.
Saw you watching Deontay Wilder quite closely yesterday. His workout went on for a little while, I think about 18 minutes in total. Yeah, what did you make of his workout?
I've never seen him fight I've never seen him fight live. So it's good to see him up close. I'm excited for that fight. You know, I'm excited for Dubois against Miller. I'm excited for many fights on the card, but, you know, you can see Wilder is extremely heavy-handed. I think technically he'll improve under Malik Scott as well. But I just don't, you know, when I say I don't rate him, for me, he's never beaten an elite heavyweight. So I said in an interview, I feel like Deontay Wilder can lose to any heavyweight in the top 10, but he can also beat any heavyweight in the top 10, you know, and he can be outboxed. And I think Josie Parker will win rounds, but he can also take Parker out with one shot at any moment in the fight, and that's what makes him dangerous and very exciting.
I know we spoke about Wallin yesterday, so I won't excuse me, so I won't touch on Wallin today, but one of the things that Joshua has said is that regarding the Wilder fight, that if there's a world title opportunity, he'd rather have that than Deontay Wilder. From a promoter perspective, is that something that you will be inclined towards for him becoming a 3-time heavyweight champion, or a fight with Deontay Wilder, which has already been delayed for so many years?
Yeah, I think that you should always want to become champion. And AJ would love to become world heavyweight champion again. That would come through victory against Otto Wallin and then fighting Filip Hrgovic. He also understands that the fight the public want to see is him against Wilder. The biggest fight in boxing that can be made right now is Joshua against Wilder. And financially, huge fight. So there's a lot to weigh up, but we've wanted this fight for a long time. And hopefully people will now believe us if it gets made. But they've both got to win on Saturday. And not just win, but win well enough that they'd be ready for a March date, which is in it. You know, we saw with Tyson Fury recently. That fight was supposed to happen December 23 by all accounts. You know, Fury gets dropped, the fight's off. So a lot has got to go everybody's way on Saturday to see that fight in March.
There are rumours, March 9th, rumours circling over the last couple of days about a 2-fight deal. But as you stated, it's must-win for both. If one of them loses, then that fight is not going to happen. Is that correct?
Yeah, of course. You know, I mean, whoever loses the fight, I'm sure will go straight back into a rematch with whoever they lost to on Saturday. But to make, if Joshua wins in style, if Wilder wins in style, again, just absolutely colossal fight.
Read your quote. Guess who said this about you? Eddie is an arsehole, a hypocrite, but he pays well and on time, but also a bleep, 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 bleep.
That's our good old friend Jarrell Miller, you know. You know, we're never going to see eye to eye about what happened. Well, we know what happened, but it's different. It's different for me than to a normal person because I was involved in the situation. I didn't like what he did. You know, he was doing that to try and beat Anthony Joshua, who's not just a client but a friend of mine. Obviously, we had to replace him. We got Andy Ruiz. We got beat. That probably didn't help as well. But I like Jarrell. You know, I think he's entertaining, and I love the fight with Dubois. I really do. I think it's a great fight. No idea what's going to happen. But it's difficult for me to judge Jarrell Miller because, you know, I was very close to the situation, and it affected us. It affected AJ, and yeah, so I get people's, you know, some people are out there now saying, you know, when a fighter fights on a card, you got, like, you know, Frank Warren might say there should be zero tolerance for drugs in the sport, you know, and he's having a go at Conor Benn and this, and, you know, and then if it suits the card, the fighter's on. Do you know what I mean? Well, Jarrell served his ban, so that's all right, you know. You always come up with an excuse to why it's okay. I mean, listen, I'm guilty of that sometimes as well. I feel like Jarrell had his chance to fight AJ. I was paying him many, many, many millions of dollars to do it. But boxing's a funny old game. You know, AJ was asked if he'll fight Jarrell Miller, and he said no. He's certainly not part of our immediate plans. But if he beats Daniel Dubois, he's going to keep running his mouth, and he's going to land himself another big fight. Whether that's against AJ or not, we'll see what the future holds.
You've always said in the past that you'll never work with Big Baby, but he comes across a very likeable guy off camera, as you know. He came face to face with Anthony Joshua, so I'll be saying that you would reconsider him, potential opponent, not immediately, but maybe down the line if it was right.
Listen, you never know in boxing. Right now, we've got no interest in Jarrell Miller. He's not on the radar. We want to beat Otto Wallin, and then we want to fight Deontay Wilder, knock him out, and then fight Tyson Fury for undisputed. But if he beats Dubois, that's a big if, he does start to become relevant in the landscape. And it's not up to me, it's up to Anthony Joshua. If Joshua turned around to me and said, I want to fight Miller, we'll make it happen.
As of today, does FROCH have a better legacy in boxing than Anthony Joshua?
I mean, when you look at the wins and the resume, probably. But when you look at the effect that Anthony has had on the sport, no. You know, you will never be able to take away what AJ has done for British boxing. He's completely changed the face of British boxing. He's inspired a generation. So in that respect, FROCH, you know, and not Carl's fault, he just didn't achieve in the amateurs and didn't, you know, the grandparents, the kids, you know, they never embraced FROCH like they did Anthony Joshua. But Carl, from a resume perspective and for the fights that he'd been in, you know, has a great legacy. But AJ's not finished yet, and I don't see why there has to be a comparison between a middleweight, a super middleweight, and an Olympic heavyweight champion. I mean, can't we just say they've both been incredible for British boxing? So, you know, we live in a world now of, you know, you got to, if you film yourself talking, you might be able to have your own show or make money out of YouTube. But then you might end up saying things that you don't really mean or a bit out of character, and that's the world we live in.
Dylan White put a post out yesterday, being a bit more active on social media. What is the latest with him? I know you don't represent him, and you've had a close relationship over the years. You've spoken recently. Can we expect some news? I
don't know. I mean, he actually reached out to me recently, and you know, as I understand it, there's some news coming. I hadn't talked to Dillian Whyte since we received the news from VADA. Not been involved in any process. Let's see what comes out. You know, I think he'll be looking at shows like this, thinking that would have been me copping a nice few quid. Obviously, he lost out on the Anthony Joshua fight as well. Let's see what's released, if and when it comes.
Why do you think Eubank declined to fight Ben? He was offered more money than the first fight. What was the defining, do you think, reason for him? And also he's put a tweet out again recently with Wasserman. One day he's going to sleep or going to bed fighting Janabek, and next is an IBO eliminator. Is there something there that's going on?
It seems like he's got people in his ear. It's just what happens in boxing. You know, the offer that Chris Eubank was made to fight Conor Benn was absolutely colossal. But someone told him it was worth X. And the only way it's worth X is if it does X amount of buys. And if you want to believe in that, you've got to back yourself as well. There was a huge guarantee with huge upside. Or does he not want to lose to a welterweight? I don't know, or lose to a Ben. None of it really makes sense. But if he wants to fight Janabek for a quarter of the money that he was offered to fight a welterweight, good luck, because Janabek will smash him to pieces. Or if he wants to fight a geezer for the IBO that I've never even heard of, for probably a sixth or a seventh of the money that he was going to make to fight Conor Benn, good luck also. It's only when it passes you by and you've taken advice from idiots that you start to think, what on earth was I doing? I cannot believe he has not taken that fight on February the 3rd. But Conor's fighting Feb 3rd, and that'll be announced this week.
Read your quote, let me know who you think has said this. If an offer was made, it will be made to Haney and his team. Eddie won't have anything to do with it. If Tank Haney happens on Amazon, we have it is in 160 million homes.
Some bloke that's not employed by anybody involved in the fight, Leonard Ellaby. I mean, we will do this fight on Amazon. Who's we? He's not even involved in Gervonta Davis. I mean, Gervonta Davis left Mayweather Promotions. Leonard Ellaby doesn't have any fighters. Leonard Ellaby doesn't have a TV contract. So I don't. He's like a fantasist. So, yeah, I mean, if the fight happens, maybe I'm not involved. But I reached out to Gervonta Davis because I've got an offer that I think he should listen to. That's all. It's got nothing to do with Leonard Ellaby. Don't represent him. So if I want to reach out to Gervonta Davis, I will.
Final one. So where are we with that offer? Because as you said, you've spoken to him, and then obviously Oscar De Hoya saying that he's reached out to you as well.
Myself and Oscar and DAZN are in discussions about Ryan Garcia against Devin Haney. I'm involved with no discussions about Haney against Tank because Tank didn't want to talk about the fight with me or with Haney. So if that's what boxing has become, you can't make an offer anymore. When we want the fight, we'll let you know and it will be on our terms. Don't look good. It's not the way really to win over fans either. Discuss the terms. Listen to our offers. You know, let the fighters make money. That fight will happen on Amazon. Don't forget. I mean, it wasn't too long ago that Leonard Ellaby was saying he'd never let his fighters, I mean, he hasn't got any fighters anyway, but fight on an app. Right? Guess where Gervonta Davis' last fight was? On DAZN. Guess where Deontay Wilder's fighting this weekend? On DAZN. And guess where PBC fighters are fighting now? On an app. Geezer's absolutely clueless. So far removed from commercial reality. He ain't fit to lace my boots.
Eddie, just absolute final one. I probably won't get to sit down again because this is the last show of the year. Just sum up 2023 very quickly and what to expect in 2024.
It's been unbelievable, the back 6 months. I mean, you know, the first 6 months were good, but PBC had a blinder and it really gave us a kick up the arse. And the back 6 months, no one's been able to even compare to what we've been doing. And this run particularly over the last, I think, 10 or 11 weeks, it's just been incredible. And, you know, breaking new ground in San Francisco, of course, the Dublin sellout, Katie Taylor making history there. Wood Warrington was electric. Bam against Sonny last week was amazing. And now we round it off with one of the cards of the year. So we want to take that momentum into 2024. And we're in a great place.
Eddie, as always, a pleasure. Thank you for speaking to Boxing King Media.
You ever been stranded on the side of a motorway with a broken down car? Like me, is that something that worries you? That's where motor breakdown insurance comes in. If your vehicle breaks down, a trained professional will be sent out to get you back on the road. Or if this is not possible within the specified time frame, to transport you to your home or to the nearest garage.
You want anything bad enough? Don't make excuses. You gotta lose your time and your sleep for it. You find a way.